Rahman Rahim. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Ha 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 ha. There you go, we've conceded the first goal, guys. Well done.
Nights when I held you beside me, unbreak my heart.
And they celebrate it like they fully celebrate this thing, like where they score set pieces, like they think it's sustainable. خلاص. Do we scapegoat Isak? Do we talk about 010 verbs? Do we talk about Salah? It's a dream to have one clean sheet. That's it. I just want one clean sheet. Crossed by Carragher. Salah score. Clear it, and we don't clear it, and we have conceded the first goal. So who shall we scapegoat today? Jokeres scores again. Jokeres scores again. This is mad. My God, what the f are we doing? What are we doing, Maguire? And we. Oh my God, my eyes are bleeding watching Martinelli. It's pathetic. This is a disgrace. Liverpool have just lost 2-1 to Manchester United at Anfield, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back to Judge Mo and Sam. The 4 L's ahead of your name has got to stick for a bit. But bruv, honestly, the last 4 or 5 games of watching Liverpool, watching you watch Rivals, we put a little montage together for you because it's been beautiful content. I'm not going to lie. Watching your watch-alongs has been some of the best content in the last 2 or 3 months I've ever watched, period. So thank you, Husam, and thank you to Slot, and thank you to Wirtz, and thank you to Isak. Thank you to Mohamed Salah. Thank you to Maguire. Thank you, Jokeres. Thank you to everybody, Crystal Palace, for giving us a great month of Husam content. How are you, gents? How are we?
I'm all right, bro. My team is 9 goals, 0 to concede in the Champions League. I'm doing well. Of course, watching my brother Husam after the arrogant summer that he had, after absolutely my feet kicked up, I'm actually winning everything. I'm the greatest team on earth. I've had the best transfer window. Slot is this. Salah is that. Isak is this. I'm great. I'm absolutely great. I enjoyed the content like you. I react to Husam's thing. And to be honest, sometimes I can't talk. I just laugh, to be honest, on Husam's reaction, which is, thank you, brother Husam, for all the content you're giving the world currently. You made Instagram, you made TikTok, you made it all over the world. Everyone knows that you actually hit keyboards now. You're about to break something if you don't remove the result from above your head. Everyone knows Don Husam now. That after feet kick up, bro, it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Husam, everything. Bro, you're amazing.
Every time I come here, I just get abused.
I am gonna break some.
Do you know the bit that made me laugh? The bit that made me laugh is when Maguire and we concede. It's just the way you do it. And it was absolutely killing me. And we concede.
The disgust on my face after the goal was my genuine.
It's Maguire with a set piece. Maguire with a set piece is crazy. It's karma is bitch, bro. You keep calling out Arsenal. You called out Chelsea for scoring 5 against West Ham, 3 of them set pieces. Then your team lost throw-in against Crystal Palace, set piece against Manchester United at Anfield. Sam, since social media came to life 2016 and people started being on Twitter, Liverpool have not lost to Man United at Anfield. Yet Maguire with Amorim never won back-to-back games. Yeah, a set piece, Maguire. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think, Allah, I'm just going to tell you, it's karma, bro. Karma. Or God.
Karma, mate. Karma. I mean, honestly, I have to say that United have won a few good games under Amorim. the City away. We had the draw against you. There's the comeback against Leon, the brilliant semi-finals against Sociedad. But there was something about that win at the weekend. It's just rendered me in a good mood since. Maybe that's what's been making me feel down as a United fan for 10 years. Not the title races, not the lack of trophies, beating Liverpool away from home. Maybe not. It was just the beauty. I think it was great stuff in it for Man United, the manager adapting, coming back after we conceded. But watching the Liverpool fans lose it, listen, I'm not going to compare it to the 7-0. It's nowhere near as bad as that. It just isn't. But it made me feel so much better about it these few years later, that you haven't been able to beat us there since. And this one really hurt. Not the scoreline, but I think the 4 defeats on the bounce added something to it. And I think the combination of us winning, ending the drought, winning back-to-back games, seeing the meltdowns as a collective, it was just... I went to bed Sunday night. Sorry to bring this up in front of you two gentlemen. I'm very drunk. I was very, very drunk. But I woke up Monday morning with a bit of a hangover. But I woke up and I was just like, oh my God. It feels amazing. I felt like I could walk on water. I really, really did. So thank you, Husam, for you and your team. You made it amazing. Thank you.
Before Husam speaks, the amount of text, and Husam knows this, the amount of calls that people asking to be on shows with Husam, like young content creators, new content creators, big content creators, just asking to be, it's like, I want to be on the screen with Husam. That's all they want. Bro, people just want to be on the screen with Husam. It's absolutely astonishing, to be honest. It's amazing.
I will say as well, before Sam speaks, we're obviously going to get into the football, but Mama Flossie here, one of our long-standing members and brilliant moderators, says he's never missed a stream, good sport. And I will say that about Husam. For all the stick, came on the match reaction. Many people avoid it when their team they didn't get beaten, but it's a bad loss, contextually speaking. He's done all these streams this week. He's here again today. And I've got to give Husam credit, because I would say there's only about 10 to 20% of, forget other platforms, I don't know the numbers, on 10 to 20% of the Football Terrace contributors. And I'm talking about the guys that really do YouTube, have their own channels, either have it as a job or are trying to make it their job. Only 10 to 20% consistently turn up when their team loses. Some, oh no, I'll be on next Thursday when I do that normal show that I do. Oh, you're not going to jump on a reaction. You're not going to jump on any earlier because it's been a big bad result. No, I'll see you in 4 or 5 days time. But by then, that sort of the frustration, the talk's gone away from it. I've got to give you credit for turning up and taking the L. Love it. How are you feeling now, like 3 days later?
Not any better. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel any better. Like, I've been abused on this platform for the last 72 hours. I'm gonna be honest with you. The worst part is I can't even guarantee you we beat Frankfurt tonight. So that's another, you get me? That's another fucking worrying game right here.
Bro, he's shitting himself. You don't understand. If they lose today, he's shitting himself.
I honestly think if you lose tonight against Frankfurt, I do think you then lose against Brentford. I just think the confidence will be so shattered. And Brentford are not these mugs this season that everybody thought they were going to be. No, they're not. That Brentford have done exactly what Brighton and those other very well-run clubs do. They've brought a manager in who just... They look dangerous, Brentford. They really do. And you're a better team than them. And if you beat them, I wouldn't be surprised.
I watched them against West Ham. They're so solid defensively and they're so good on the counter-attack. And they also play 3 at the back, which is the thing we've struggled against. And Frankfurt play 3 at the back as well, I think. So, yeah, guys, it's going to be a long 3-4 days if we don't fix up. To be honest with you guys, I'm just hurting, man. Like, I'm just disgusted at my club. I'm just annoyed, you know? And... It's all in the hands of my manager now. He just has to do what's expected of him, because I'm not slot out yet, but there are people in the fan base that are slot out, and to be honest with you, you cannot blame them. I'm not gonna sit up here and be a hypocrite. I don't control people's emotions. If people emotionally feel like they want the manager gone and they think that he can't take Liverpool any forward, I respect that. It's a decision for me that I can completely understand and respect. And look, just because you won the league last season doesn't mean that you will forever want the manager in. Me personally, I haven't yet said slot out. I don't feel that way, because for me, turning on your manager is more of a feeling than anything else. And Terry knows this, and Mo. I never turned on Klopp, despite the fact that many people did turn on Klopp the year where we finished 5th. I completely backed Klopp all the way to the end. So, you know, for me, it takes quite a bit for me to turn on the manager. The only one I turned on really quickly was Brendan Rodgers for me, because I couldn't stand him, and I still hold him accountable for us losing the league. I think he's one of the main culprits, but that's a different topic for a different day. But yeah, man, it's been a horrible 72 hours. And look, when it comes to turn up and not turn up, one thing that these two will tell you right now, even for the last 3 years, even before being part of Straight Facts, I'm not the type of guy that hides. You know, I support my club when we win. I support my club when we lose. I represent my football club as best as I can. And at the end of the day, I love this club. That's why it's hurting. And the look of disgust on my face after the Maguire goal is once again, it's genuinely how I feel. Because, you know, I want to tell you both something that maybe Terry has felt and Mo has felt at the 5-0. When you feel disgusted, it's actually worse than feeling angry.
Yeah, I know. I have a different. I know Terry have like the whole questions for the show and everything, but I have a very, like, when Husam was speaking now about the people that won slot out, and I wanted to ask Husam something, and I don't want this to turn into the Arsenal conversation, but actually, I was comparing the situation to the Arsenal fan base, Husam, and you know, we've had K-Mac, we've had other people as well that actually start questioning Arne Slot, and I was comparing this to Arsenal finished second 3 years in a row. Arteta brought them from the dead to actually like compete and all the stuff. But I was looking at Liverpool, who tasted glory last season, who tasted glory under the Green Club, who some of these players have actually won player of the season, top scorer of the season. And for me, I'm trying to understand, how can a Liverpool fan actually want Klopp out after he Slot out, after he won him the Premier League? Well, some Arsenal fans feel so connected to Mikel Arteta, even though he hasn't won them the trophy. And I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. I don't know. Like you said something.
You do know the answer, though.
No, but you said something in your monologue like a minute ago. It's so key to this conversation. You said the manager winning doesn't mean that I will always be in love with him and I always want him in my club.
Yeah, just because someone wants the league. So what?
I will ask him.
Let me ask you a question, and then I'll
have an objective conversation about it. I want to have.
Let me ask you a question.
Let's
Let's say Liverpool lose the next 4 games, then what? Khalas, we're going to keep saying he won the league last year?
No, but even if he wins a game, lose a game, and he becomes third or fourth, I know that there is about 20% of the Liverpool fan base, because of the investment that you made, will actually start saying that he's not utilizing the talent. If you compare this to Mikel Arteta buying Kai Havertz, I don't know if Terry heard us or not. If you compare this to Mikel Arteta buying Decaln Rice, buying Kai Havertz, getting Odegaard, have Thomas Partey, Timber, and Calafiori, and all these people, you know what I mean? I know that even if Liverpool comes third this season, and I'm not saying second, third this season, and don't utilize the talent and the money that is spent, there will be some people that will say, well, you won us, yes, but we invested, we won the more glory. And I can't find the reason and the difference between the two clubs and with the situations between the two clubs. A club that hasn't won, that they love the manager, which is rightfully so, the manager had brought them from the dead, and a club that has tasted glory under a manager that might think, yeah, you're not the right guy for it. Don't tell me standards like Master is telling the chat. It's not about the standards. I actually think probably.
But actually, you as a Chelsea fan, why are you talking about standards? You're 1 point from Man United.
Exactly.
Standards is what, a new buzzword now?
I actually think, and this is my conclusion, and I don't know if you guys agree with this or not. Tasting glory would actually make you more hungry for glory the year after. Like Liverpool winning. How? Liverpool
There's
winning.
Another thing, though. Klopp and Arteta built. Slot didn't build.
Maybe that is the answer. But for me, because I feel like Liverpool fans are greedy.
That's a very important conversation, Mo. You asked, like, okay.
Go ahead. I'm done.
Why is it that Arsenal fans are like hanging on to Arteta? Because me, you, Terry, everyone can acknowledge, because it's a fact, that Arteta hasn't won yet. We know this. But no one can deny the fact that Arteta took them from essentially unstable, not well run, with the help of Berta and Kroenke together. They're now a stable Champions League club. So he built the shit from the beginning. Like, he's the one that he basically, like, you know, when Klopp came into like an empty land and there was nothing there, and he built the house and he put everything in. Slot came in and put the furniture inside. Yeah, but the guy built the house and bought the land. Is always different. It's all like there's a reason. If I go back to historically, Terry will tell you this. Bill Shankly is perceived essentially as like the founder of Liverpool because he built the whole thing. Yes, Bill Shankly didn't win as many trophies as a Bob Paisley or a Fagan or a Dalglish, blah, 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 but he built the whole thing. So with Arteta, he built Arsenal up to a certain level where now, can Husam come here and say Arsenal will finish outside the top 4? No. Like the most negative Arsenal fan in the universe said they're going to finish 4th or 3rd. The most negative one in the planet probably thought that. So they're a Champions League sustainable club right now. Slot didn't make us a Champions League sustainable club. Klopp did that. That's why the attachment is different. And now, look, when we say like he has the ingredients and he hasn't like worked with them well, it's the reality. Guys, we can sit here at the end of the day. Look, the Man United game, the Galatasaray game, the Crystal Palace game, every single game for the last 4 games, the Chelsea game, okay? We can sit here, cuss all like 9 players, 10 players who are shit. You get me? You look at this situation, you're like, okay, look, my biggest damning statement is the following. We said Chelsea was a disaster, right? Slot had front row seats to the Stamford Bridge disaster that we had, and he genuinely believed that we were just unlucky to the point where he just ran back the same team against Man United. Deep how insane that is. You know what? When we say like when managers speak in the press conferences, they're waffling a little bit. You know, we shouldn't take what they say seriously. Slot said it in the post-match that he thought we were a little bit unlucky. And some people might have went like, yeah, but like this is what you expect managers to say after the game, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Guess what? He actually believed it. He ran back the same exact team. He didn't change a thing. He didn't change the structure. There are pictures I can send to like the group chat right now of everything that I've said that is a structural issue. You get me? So that's the thing. So like, yeah, it's
yeah. Look, listen. I think Liverpool's issues now are multi-layered. So I don't think it's one thing at all. And we're going to go to some of your comments in a minute. I don't think it's. I'm about to speak about motivation. I spoke about it yesterday. Sometimes teams can win something big. Sometimes fighters can win a world title. Sometimes a tennis player can win a Grand Slam. Sometimes a driver and a team could win the F1. And the next year, yeah, sometimes you get injuries. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes you come up against a fighter or a team that are better. That's part of it. Sometimes that happens. There's also times when people, and you normally don't find out about this until they retire. You know, we normally don't find out about this until they've hung their gloves up or parked their car or hung the boots up, whatever the expression is for your sport. But there is this element of I've done it. I climbed Kilimanjaro. There's a lot of people that might climb one mountain and then go, now I want to do an even bigger one. They do Everest. They go, right, I've climbed Everest. Now I'm going to do it with one arm tied behind my back. Some people get to the foot of that mountain and go, I'm done climbing mountains. And I think that there's a reason that in 140 years, only 21 different teams have retained the league title. There's something in that for me. And it isn't always motivation. Sometimes it's the team that came second last year becomes better the following year. I don't think, this is why I don't put it all on Slot, by the way. There is a possibility. They say on average, 50% of all signings work out, which means if you look at your main signings of Kirkes, Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, and who's the other guy? Who's the other mate? Frimpong. They're your main 5 signings. So facts show us, not statistics, facts show us that at least 2 of them are going to flop. So although Ekitike is playing quite well, so then you're looking at the other 4, right? That means, statistically speaking, 2 of those other 4 are almost guaranteed to fail. So yes, Isak might not be playing well because of Slot's system. But maybe Kirkes just looked good in a smaller team and has gone to Liverpool and is poor. I think there are multiple layers to this. The Salah and Van Dijk issues there. The one thing that I think is on Slot, I don't think the attacking issues on Slot, because you guys are actually creating more chances currently per game in these 4 losses than you averaged last season. And last season, you created the most amount of big chances in the history of the Premier League. And you're currently creating these last 4 games above that average. Your conversion rate is shocking. And I'm keeping the same energy for you in the last 4 games as I did to Man United in our first 4 games. You've only converted about 4% of your chances, where prior to that, when you were winning those games, although you weren't dominating the matches, you were converting 16, 17, 18% of your chances, or your shots, sorry. So you need to get better at scoring. That's the players, because Salah's miss ain't Slot's fault, in my opinion. Isak, yes, he didn't have loads of chances, but we're adding these things up. Even Gakpo hitting the post. The first one, he should have scored. He had all that time and space. I would expect top players to score those goals. The bit I put on Slot the most, he's got 2 teams on the bounce, and this maybe is what made me feel better about beating you. I know Mo Salah's a really, I think my personal feeling about Mo Salah, he's a lovely bloke. But do you remember when you guys smashed us at Old Trafford just before Ollie lost his job? And he said, I'm going to make up what he said, but it was sort of words to the effect of, we just knew the issues with these players. We just knew, he sort of said something about they knew the weaknesses in these Man United players and they exploited it. And then he kind of retracted it and said, no, I didn't mean it that way. He said something along those lines. But he did mean, I think he always meant what he said, but he just went, I can't say that about my fellow professionals. I love the fact that 2 games running in the Prem, your issues with your fullbacks has been called out in terms of that space between your fullbacks and your centre-backs. That is on your manager. That bit for me is quintessentially on him. There's no doubt about it. And the worst part for you is that issue in your system exploits the biggest weakness in your greatest ever centre-back in the Premier era, in Van Dijk. He's not great at marking. And when he gets caught between his position and somebody else's, he often gets caught in no man's land. And that's what happened for the first goal. So the system is creating a hole that teams are exploiting, and it's very, very glaring. And you have, Konate actually had a good game against us, but it's also exposing the actual weaknesses in what's almost a perfect centre-back in Van Dijk. And for me, what Slot's got to do is address that to cover up and mask and protect the weaknesses, because all our players have them. Every single player has a weakness of some sort, and you have to create a system that masks that. So I think it's really multi-layered what's going on at Liverpool right now. I don't think it's a case of just tweaking that. That isn't going to make people score more goals, as an example.
It is multi-layered though, but like when we say multi-layered, it's all multi-layered issues that are managerial, in my opinion. And that's why I'm looking at it. Look, at the end of the day, players should be taking their chances. Yes, 100%. This is a picture that Mo already saw, but I just sent it to the group chat if you want to just look at it. This still image right here existed in the match minimum about 25 times, Terry, the one that I just sent. And this is the stuff that I talk about when I spoke about like the donut hole. This is the stuff that I spoke about even on the post-match, so it's not me being reactionary. When, okay, you brought 6 forwards on the pitch. Great. The only midfielder on the pitch is Curtis Jones. So how the fuck I'm supposed to get the ball to the forwards? It's all these like basic things. And Mo come here last time, and I'm gonna ask Mo a question. Okay, so Mo, let's say Mo gets dropped, not you, Mohamed Salah. He gets dropped tonight, Frankfurt. Let's say, I don't know, whoever the hell we think is a problem. Gakpo gets dropped as an example, and we still end up losing. Then what happens, Mo? Tell me honestly.
I'm gonna tell you the problem with what you're saying. What is happening at Liverpool? Pep adapted to his team. Okay, I genuinely believe that the first part of winning football games and winning leagues and is actually be tight and compact. Mourinho spoke about this. Mourinho said, it doesn't matter how you attack. You, Husam, is a victim of what Arne Slot have presented to the Liverpool fan base about the Dutch football and the PSG way of playing. Let's have the ball, let's attack, let's create that dynasty, right? You are a victim as well. The majority of Liverpool fans are victims of this. But what he's failing to actually see is that Man United went to Anfield, and probably for the first time since for 10 years, Man United had 5 big chances created. When people slag off Arsenal for being defensive, right? It's not about being defensive. It's about staying in the game longer than the other team. Crystal Palace created 7 chances in one half, 45 minutes. How are you expecting Liverpool to win football matches like this? And Arne Slot, the problem with the guy is he's losing his head. He keeps talking about attack. We miss chances. We create chances. Habibi, you concede chances as well. Your XG against you is now bottom half of the table. That's not how teams win leagues. Unless, and I'm just going to say one thing, guys. There's only one manager in the history of the sport that played the ultimate attack in football, right? And was able to win games because he always has the ball and he has the perfect pressure system. The press of Pep Guardiola with Man City. That's why when Man City concede 1 or 2 chances in a game back in the days, like 2-3 years ago, they used to be dangerous. Man City now, because Pep Guardiola knows that he doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne, he knows that Rodri is not fit. Every time they lose the ball, you look at Haaland's statistics, he's doing interceptions, tackles, clearances. Why? Because Pep Guardiola knows that football is not only about attack. Arne Slot seems to forget that there is both aspects of the game, which is what Arteta does, which is what Iraola does, which is even what Amorim does. He keep forgetting, which is what Terry's talking about, the distance between a fullback and a centre back, the distance between a midfielder. You cannot, I'm just going to say this, unless you have MSN, right? You're not going to be able to afford having 4 or 5 players, which is Husam said down MHF, ahead of the ball, every single attack, right? Chelsea were victims of this when the majority of the players last season were not defending. Enzo Fernandez was not defending, right? And Caicedo was left on an island. Now we see Gravenberch left on an island. We see Kerkez being left on. Why does Kerkez look horrible, right? Every time Amad Diallo got the
Then
ball,
he plays for Hungary. He looks like Roberto Carlos. What the hell?
why? That is very simple, right? It has nothing to do with attack. Amad Diallo had 30 yards or 20 yards to run at him. Mbuemo's running towards him. Mason Mount is coming to the right. It's overload. And Gakpo's watching Kerkez getting torn apart. And that is Arne Slot. If anyone tells me it's on the players, that is not. Any player that stays ahead of the ball and not track back, these are managers' instructions. Arne Slot need to go back to basics, Terry and Husam and everyone in the chat, and actually know that I need to be tight defensively first because I have world-class players up top that they might score 1-0.
And that's
Liverpool
what he
doesn't have
did
to win
last
4
season.
goals.
Do you guys remember in the first, like, what was it? In the first 7-8 games, we conceded what, like 3 goals or something? We were very solid defensively. And then all of a sudden, this season, we've conceded in the Premier League 11 goals.
In 8 games.
11 goals in 8 games.
Their XG,
11.
Their XG is bottom half of the table against them. How is the Liverpool with Van Dijk, Konate have more than the likes of Brentford or like the likes of Bournemouth XG against them? That is criminal.
Abdi has just said in the chat, this sounds like Ten Hag. This exactly sounds like Ten Hag. People think this is a joke. This is not a joke. People have been referring to it like, oh, this is like Pep last season. No, because we don't have any major injuries. Oh, this is like when this manager did this. No, the best accurate representation is Ten Hag's second year. The donut hole in midfield, the lack of structure defensively, the lack of control. And Terry said about us creating chances. Okay, you're correct. We do create chances. Here's my issue with how we create chances. It's almost like Liverpool need a guy to have 3-4 individual brilliance moments in a row for us to create a chance. Meanwhile, all it takes for Man United to create a chance against us, and let's be honest about this, is a Bruno pass to Mbuemo, and then Mbuemo's 1-on-1 with Van Dijk. What the hell are we doing? Mbuemo pass Cunha 1-on-1 with Konate. Mbuemo pass Amad Diallo 1-on-1 with Kerkez. And I was doing this on the watch, and I'm like, guys, just forget the football. Just watch how empty the spaces are. Because there's no way Bruno in a 2-man midfield against a 3-man midfield can just pick up the ball, and within like one long ball to one of the wing backs or one of the wingers, you're 1-on-1.
Partly true. But it wasn't Bruno to Mbuemo. It was Bruno into Amad. Amad then dribbles and then finds a pass. It was a very good pass to cut out 2 players. And it was a very good shot from a fairly acute angle. It wasn't a very high XG chance. The Bruno pass for the winner, there's 1 or 2 players in European football that can play that pass with the inside of his foot on a volley and find someone's head. So that in itself is a moment of brilliance. This is where I disagree, though. Your opening chance, the Gakpo one, that partly came because we messed up. We were pressing when we should have been sitting back. It was one good pass. Good. I wouldn't say world class, but good pass from Salah, and Gakpo was through on goal. The pass that obviously set up Isak, you could argue that's a moment of brilliance, but that pass was on 3 or 4 times in the game, but it just didn't come through. The goal you actually scored in itself, I wouldn't call that any moment of that goal a moment of brilliance. The play that led to the header for Gakpo that he missed, there was no.
Chiesa, what he did in the penalty box when we scored. Remember before Gakpo scored?
I wouldn't necessarily call that.
Yeah, but no winger did that for us.
Well, again, I suppose it's about finding the definition here of what we
also
then
just
consider.
to clarify, when I was talking about Bruno, I'm not even talking about the goal you scored. I'm talking about the other moments you had where you didn't score. Because I was just responding to what Mo said. Because I want to say this. People keep saying Liverpool should have scored. Okay, Habibi, Man United should have scored 5 goals.
Could have been 3-0. It could have been 3-0 up.
So I understand this.
When you were 1-0 up, you remember the Bruno chance.
Okay. Good. We'll get to that in a minute. What we maybe need to try and define here to find common ground is what are we considering moments of brilliance? And I'll give you an example. A goal that I would consider to be a moment of brilliance would be Isak versus Liverpool last year for Newcastle, where he touches the ball, turns, he's about 25 yards out, and he blasts it into the top corner. I would consider that a moment of brilliance. A created goal, what Miles Lewis-Skelly did last night, I consider that a moment of brilliance that led to a goal. I don't think that's normal. I wouldn't then put your equalizing goal as a moment of brilliance. I wouldn't even say our opening goal there was any moment of brilliance. There wasn't a pass where you all went, whoa, or there wasn't a seal where you went, fuck me. Bruno's, you could argue. Equally, a lot of your chances, I don't think Salah's pass into Gakpo. I don't think the ball into Isak.
That's a brilliant pass.
I don't think that the goal that Isak, Gakpo hitting the post the second time round. I don't think
that was a brilliant Konate pass.
Okay,
let
me finish. You could say that one, but Gakpo hitting the post in the second half, I wouldn't say there's any moment in that was brilliant, barring him taking a man on, but it was a fairly normal take on. It wasn't something where you went, wow, you're going to see that replayed forever. So I don't think you need to be absolutely brilliant to create these chances, but I suppose it all depends upon what we're now kind of redefine as moments of brilliance. Because if we are considering all your chances moments of brilliance, then that's basically what all teams do every minute, every time they create a chance, because I think they're quite standard, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying Slot isn't making issues, and I'm not saying Slot shouldn't take a huge amount of criticism, but you mentioned Ten Hag. Ten Hag left, and we got no better. So if you're going to use a manager as a yardstick to go, he was the reason the team went backwards, you've at least got to pick one that when he left, the team at least marginally improved. Maybe the last 3 or 4 games we have, I think we're at 60%.
I disagree with you. I think that's illogical.
But what is illogical? Okay,
because I'm comparing Ten Hag's second season tactics to Slot's second season tactics. I'm not comparing who we're going to get after. I'm not saying you got Amrim versus we're going to get this guy. That's a completely different conversation. I'm simply talking about the spaces in midfield and the defensive structure. Now, when I speak about moments of brilliance, I'm not mentioning like what Lewis-Skelly did or the Konate pass. That's not what I mean. I'm saying Liverpool actively have to work hard to create a chance, while the opponent don't have to work hard to create a chance, because all it takes is one pass. Remember, the whole one pass is all it takes. Forget the goal. The Mbuemo goal. I'm not talking about that one. In that same half, Bruno turned. I think when Lamens played it out from the back, when he played it to Luke Shaw, Bruno just turned one midfielder and played a long pass immediately to Diallo, who was one-on-one with the defender. All I'm saying is, as Liverpool Football Club, with the players that we have, it should not take one pass, one long ball, one cross, one diagonal, and we're immediately exposed and open. So that's my point. So for me, we have to be able to defend better, and we have to be able to put these players in a position to succeed.
So I hear you. My only pushback is this. I think if you're going to, I do think if you use a manager like Ten Hag as an example, you have to at least provide an example of when that manager was changed, you saw an improvement. Now, you could throw in a counter, which is, well, Amram's no better. But I actually still think we've got issues with players. One thing United fans always like to do if they dislike a manager is they pretend that the players are not still an issue in what we're doing. And I think that's key. I don't think you guys should be ignoring the fact that some of your better players are genuinely just playing poorly. And maybe some of your new signings could be bust. I think discounting that completely, I think, is wrong. The only other counter I've got for what you're saying, and this is why I'm just saying to Liverpool fans, be more open-minded. I don't think you should live in the world of Slot is the only issue, because barring Arsenal, I can't think of another team in the Prem at the minute that isn't conceding chances for a pass or two. Teams have become very direct, very good on the counter, and barring Arsenal, because no one's got the balls at the moment in the Premier League to attack them, because they all just sit back. We saw that with Fulham. We saw it with Newcastle. Nobody really wants to commit to attacks against Arsenal right now. Everybody is susceptible to conceding opportunities and chances on counter-attacks. Everyone, City, Liverpool, even the teams that we're praising and saying how good they look. When Bournemouth play and when Crystal Palaces play, they're winning games and they're doing very well. But let's not pretend they're not conceding really good chances. Yes, your match against Palace, they created 7 against you. You created 7 against them. It's not as though they're really solid, hard to break down anymore. Most teams in the Premier League, because of the pace and power that nearly every single team has on the counter-attack, everybody is susceptible. The only side so far this season that just hasn't been done is barring one game, and it was against City, was Arsenal, because no one's got the confidence, no one's got the balls to actually open up and put 3 or 4 men into a counter-attack. And what we did to you was even different. What we did was so old school. There was a touch of Sam Allardyce about it, and I quite enjoyed it. And Staffy kind of came on, and I disagreed with him at the time, but I didn't really want to get into a debate. No, I did. He kind of sort of said that he didn't get the long ball without a striker. And I thought, listen, I'm very critical of a lot of things Jamie Carragher has said, but he broke this down the other day. And maybe it's confirmation bias for me because it matched how I saw the game. What we did is we went long. We weren't really trying to win the first ball, but we packed the central areas to win the second ball and counter. Now, at the end of the day, Slot was a little salty. And I get why he was salty, and I've got no issue with him being salty. But you guys just didn't prepare for what we were going to do. What you thought maybe with the long balls is we'll have a centre forward, we're going to go for some flick-ons, and players run off. What Liverpool were not prepared for was United going long, letting you win the first ball, and then we rushed to win the second or third. And we did that on a number of occasions. We'd actually break the game back down and rewatch it. Whenever we pressed you, something a little bit more contemporary, something a little bit more acceptable for Baller FC, that's when you cut us open quite easily and nearly scored. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was all just because Slot's system was bad. Man United employed a tactic that you just weren't prepared for, because neither you, as a club...
Do you believe that your tactic was just win the second ball?
It was one of our big tactics, yes. It was to win that second ball. It's why we had very little width. We compact that area. We knocked the ball into those areas. And we did have people half challenging for the ball. But if you just watch, I mean, there's no way. Listen, you could love or loathe Ruben Amorim, but there's no way he said to, I don't know how tall Mbumo is. He's probably 5'10". Might be a bit taller, might be a bit shorter. There's no way he's saying, right, your job today, Mbumo, go up and challenge for those headers with Van Dijk. Listen, Mount, I want you challenging Konate for headers. That just doesn't make sense. Whether you think he's a good manager or a bad manager, he wouldn't have done that. That is what we did, and it worked for us. So as much as, yes, you had issues, but we employed something you guys weren't expecting, and that played a part as well. But again, I will reiterate, I'm not saying Slot here is blameless. I'm not saying it's all on the players. I'm saying I'd still put a bigger percentage on Slot. I'd go with about 60%, because I also think he's picking players that shouldn't be starting. Ekitike should be starting your games. Not Isak. Ekitike came on, looked brilliant. I think you've got to reward that merit. There's got to be a bit of meritocracy there. You got to play him. I think Ekitike has got to start tonight. I think Ekitike has got to start your games coming up. Isak gets chances from the bench if he delivers. Great. I think Chiesa has got to start games. I put that on your manager for him not starting as an example. I look at Curtis Jones. He should probably be in the team over McAllister, in my personal opinion. And those things I think Robinson should come back into the team, because Kirkes looks absolutely awful at the moment. Those things are all on Slot. He's making the wrong decisions in those areas. So there's loads of things I will blame him for.
Before you go to the Super Chat, there is one thing about what Husam said about Ten Hag is, to be honest, is how he actually talks about the game and how he analyzes the game. He's talking about low block, right? The majority of the chances that Liverpool created in this game is when Man United pressed, as you said. Yeah, he comes on a press conference like that long ball from Konate. Maguire was at halfway line. That other one from Salah, Maguire was 1-on-1 in his half with Gakpo. I don't think he sees the game the right way currently. I don't think he actually analyzes the game. He's talking about a low block. Man United didn't play a low block, and when they did play a low block, Liverpool didn't create apart from crosses, the cross to Gakpo. And I don't understand how he's sitting there talking to the media, complaining that Man United play low block at Anfield. I don't know what he's expecting from people. Like, is he now doing the Ruben Diaz, Bernardo Silva, people sit back against us, and he's crying to the media? That is the Ten Hag, talk. It's like the crazy talk. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Low block. Man United winning 1-0. Are you expecting Man United to just open up and just let you score? It's actually crazy, to be honest. He's a sore loser, in my opinion. Last season, there was no pressure, and that's why he looked brilliant in press conferences. This season, he looks like not only a sore loser, he looks like he's losing his mind. And that is what is worrying for Liverpool fans. It's so worrying when your manager is not able to answer questions, because we have seen this with Louis van Gaal, we have seen this with Erik ten Hag, we have seen this with Jose Mourinho when he started answering different answers for Man United and then he got sacked. This is so worrying, to be honest, that he's talking to the media about low blocks and we create chances, and he's not addressing the things that are wrong with the team. It's so worrying, to be honest with you, with how he's talking to the media.
I hear that. Some super chats here says United didn't win, Liverpool lost, is what Diallo says here.
That is not
The internet never forgets.
Yeah, but that's not wrong at all.
That is wrong. Man United won that game. Definitely.
Yeah, but you just said Liverpool should have taken their chances and Slot isn't to blame. So which one is it?
I didn't say that. You just exaggerated my points. So if you've had to lie to make a point, and I've told the truth, I win. Isn't that second season syndrome?
Second season syndrome. People get relegated, Habibi. So I doubt it's that bad.
We spoke about this yesterday. About Erik ten Hag took Ranić team and Oli team and moved them from 6th to 3rd out of a surprise element. Arne Slot took Jurgen Klopp team that were 3rd and were in a title race until February, and they won the league. And Arsenal had injuries and they had a horrible season, tactics and all the stuff. And Man City had injuries. Are we now seeing the second season of a Dutch manager like Ten Hag, when his second season he finished 8th? Is that what Liverpool are?
There could be an element of that. I also think Liverpool fans need to... I was thinking about Carlo Ancelotti, actually, because I saw a clip from somebody, I don't remember who, and I mean it with respect to that person, where he was naming the managers who have won it in their first season and been sacked a year later. And there's a few: Conte, Ancelotti, Ranieri, at Leicester, of course, even that weren't his first season in the Premier.
Mourinho won and then sacked by Chelsea as well.
Yeah, but he was he had more than one seat. He won back-to-backs. But yeah, this happened. But I did think about the situation, especially Carlo Ancelotti, and I'm like, this is where Liverpool needs to be really mindful, even if things don't improve dramatically this season. It doesn't mean that next season won't be really, really good. Because I still look at Chelsea, and I know they sacked Carlo and they went on to win the Champions League a couple of years later. I still think if they'd have stuck with Carlo, they could have won a lot more between 2010 and when Jose came back to the football club. I think they would have. Yeah, you can have seasons where you're slightly off it. Doesn't mean the next year you're not gonna win and be really good. But each to their own on that one. If Slot loses today, is it time to sack him? When do you think? Have you got a gut feeling, Husam, as to when you might become Slot out? Have you got a limit? No. Is there are there strikes, or would it just be when it happens, it happens?
When it happens, that happens. If I do feel that way. Right now, I don't feel that way because I still think he has the tools necessary to win. Bro, what he did against Arsenal in the second half, I ain't gonna ignore that. What we did against Everton at home, what we did against Atletico at home, like he's shown the capability to coach really good football. But I just don't get why he hasn't done it again. He hasn't tried it again. You came across a formula that worked and completely ignored it, but then came across a formula that failed and ran it back. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever. That's what I'm saying. It's just a feeling. If I feel like he's being too stubborn and refuses to change, and also you guys need to understand, listen, you both are going to go like, I don't think any Liverpool fan should be slotted out, give him time, blah, blah, blah. I accept both of your explanations. Okay, so what happens if Liverpool lose the next 4 games? Then what?
You sack him.
9 losses in a row. What are you supposed to say? Oh, he won us the league. Come on.
I understand that. I understand that. I think, yeah, if you start getting to 8, 9, 10 losses on the bounce, again, that's a different scenario.
You sack the guy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's hypothetical, but equally, what if you lose tonight and then sack him, but then the same hypothetical magician comes along and says, yeah, but he'd have won the next 8 on the bounce if he'd have kept him. It's one of these things. I feel like don't be 9 losses on the bounce isn't necessarily knee-jerk. I know 4 is bad, but it's still the season is so salvageable from this point. That being said, if you do lose tonight, have you seen the stat? It'd be the first time since 1955 the Liverpool Football Club have lost 5 on the bounce. So we are.
Yeah. By the way, that's what I'm saying. You can't be Liverpool manager lose 5 games in a row. By the way,
we're reaching Ten Hag records. You guys
Liverpool notoriously, and Arsenal are the only other club in England who have this. Liverpool and Arsenal are notorious for actually giving managers time. Like, we don't. It's club culture to not sack a manager immediately. So you give the manager time, but there's also cutoff time. Like,
same
with all due
Madrid,
respect, you lose 9 games in a row. Like, I'm sorry.
Spencer here says Arsenal's injury crisis was a big factor last year in the Premier League, is what Spencer says.
Spencer, I think even Terry and Mo will disagree with you there. And they'll disagree with Rob as well. Do you think LFC's title win slightly overrated how good they actually run, how good Slot is? If you have the context of not having much pressure, I'll tell you why you both are wrong. And Mo agreed with me yesterday. Rob, not you both, Rob and Spencer. The reason why you're both wrong is, look, nothing what you will say will change last season's league title. The players, I think, with 4 or 5 games to go, started partying in Ibiza. We could have also gotten 90+ points. That's why me and Terra are in complete agreement that we don't just go like, oh, Centurion, so they're the best ever. We don't do this logic. We're not going to change what Arne Slot came in. When he came in, he had our defensive structure as one of the best in the league. He discovered Gravenberg as the new DM. He played Luis Diaz as false 9 to combat certain systems. He had Soboslai doing Salah's running. He employed tactics against teams that gave us the opportunity to beat them. I always give the example, Etihad away. We didn't win there in the entirety of the Klopp era, Etihad away, even when City were really bad. And then Slot goes there, plays a box midfield with basically Salah and Curtis Jones up top, and we end up winning in the game. So he has... The last season, he was tactically on point. He was making the correct in-game substitutions. He was making the correct tactics. And nothing that the Arsenal fans or anyone in the chat will say will change last season's league title. We're currently discussing Slot now. This doesn't change what Slot did last year, though.
I agree to a large extent, but there's an element I don't disagree on, but I want to pull on. So, if he flops this season, ends up in 7th place, 8th place by Christmas and gets sacked, it doesn't take away how good Liverpool were last year, but it impacts any lasting legacy beyond that he would have. He'd always go down as a manager that won the league title in the Premier League. But would he be placed above Ranieri? Where would he place in terms of league winning managers? You could argue be right down near the bottom. So I think from a legacy perspective, if he wins the league, does very well, because I never played down your win last year. I stand on that. But if he gets 420 million spent on the same squad, the renewal of 2 of your greatest ever players, and the next year absolutely bombs, what it would impact is
Slot himself legacy, which I agree with.
Slot and legacy conversations for him, but it doesn't mean Liverpool weren't brilliant last year.
He's not above Ranieri now.
What about him?
He's not above Ranieri now.
Yeah, he's not above Ranieri now.
I agree.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Like Ranieri won with Leicester. He got a relegated team and won the league fair and
Mo
square.
agrees with me. Nothing changes last season's league title, right?
He won the league last season. Nothing.
Mo, you agree with what I said, or disagree?
Nothing will change Ranieri winning the league. Him getting sacked the year after doesn't change that he was brilliant.
Nothing changes last season. What it may change is people's overarching view of Arne Slot.
That's why I don't put him above Arteta today. Husam disagrees with me. That's why, as a coach, I don't put him above Arteta today. Because the consistency, the system that Arteta built, the years that he built them. Yes, Arne Slot won the league last season, but I need to see it a year again. Even if he finishes second this season, but he has a consistent system, and Liverpool are playing well, I will say that. But if he flops this season, as you said, finishes 4th, finishes 5th, that means last season you had a Ranieri season. Is Ranieri better than Arteta as a coach? Would anyone tell me that Ranieri at his peak is the better coach than Mikel Arteta? Nobody would actually say that. The coaching thing is about a system that is continuous. Arne Slot currently, maybe people say, yeah, he won the league last season, but you put the hypothetical that what if he flops? Currently, he had more talent than last season, and we have Liverpool fans questioning his tactics. That is basically Ranieri, right? Is Ranieri better than Arteta?
Let's look at what Rob and Spencer said, because I'm disagreeing with them. You guys took it to a different conversation. Here's the problem with Rob and Spencer's logic. They're basically saying, even with the way Slot was behaving last season, let's push this season to the side. Even with the way that Slot was behaving last season, the only reason why Liverpool won the league is because Arsenal had injuries. That's basically what they're saying. And that's the part that I disagree with, because even when Arsenal were fit, even when they had Odegaard and Saka back, even when they had those players, they did not look as good as Liverpool last season. That's the point. Because Slot tactically was on point. You see, that's now where we're taking it to extremes. Yes, if Slot gets sacked... By the way, Slot today doesn't have more legacy than Ranieri. Jose Mourinho always said, Ferguson treble, Wenger invincibles, and Ranieri. Like he always says, like that as an individual like accomplishment by itself, winning the league with
It's
Leicester
one.
is unreal. However, for that one season, Ranieri did set up Leicester in a tactically elite way, and nothing that we will say now will change it. Even if he got sacked after, even if he failed at Roma, he failed at Fiorentina, doesn't matter.
The problem with Arsenal fans, they take it to the next level. If you say maybe Liverpool would not have had it that easy last season, would have had more tighter race, and would have been a chance of Arsenal winning the league, I would accept it. But to say that they only won the league because of injuries, that is factually wrong, because Liverpool were in course to get 94 points, which is something that Arsenal has not done. You know what I mean? There might have been a tighter race. There might have been a tighter race, right? But you can't say that, bro.
The only part of the argument that, so let's just create the hypothetical. The injuries didn't happen to Arsenal. If Arsenal were closer to Liverpool and the pressure was there is the potential, seeing Slot crumbling under this pressure, as you've mentioned, that maybe they wouldn't have won the league.
But that's hypothetical.
But yes, and that's it. I mean, there's a double layer to that hypothetical of one, Arsenal not getting the injuries.
There's a triple layer, because we also have seen, and this is the reality, Arteta crumble under pressure.
But this is it, and this is why it's such a. That's why for me, I disagree with Rob's overarching view. The only thing this impacts if he falls off this year is his legacy.
Yeah, but the problem is they make it as a fact. That's a problem with football fans. They make it as a fact. The only reason Liverpool won the last year because City and Arsenal injury. They state it as a fact, not as a hypothetical, as you did, Terry. You said maybe.
I'll create one of them hypotheticals. If the Glazers never overtook Man United, City would never have had their dynasty, because we'd have just maintained ourselves at the top. You can't discredit the logic, but you can't
state that as a fact. You can't say I'm sure that City would not have the dynasty if the Glazers didn't take over Man United. That's wrong.
I hear that. To be fair to Husam, with regards to Slot, even when he was appointed, there was reservations, which a lot of Liverpool fans had. Arsenal were at a low ebb, and Arteta brought Arsenal back to competing. Liverpool were already competing.
This is the perfect answer as well to what Mo was asking at the beginning. Look, the reason why there's an attachment from Arsenal fans to Arteta compared to Liverpool fans with Slot, versus as well Liverpool fans with Klopp, when a manager comes in when you're really bad and builds you up, it's completely different to a manager coming into a team that finished third. It's like basically Chelsea, right? Chelsea won the league with Mourinho. They had a bad year, but everyone knew that the players aren't that bad. Conte comes in, they win the league again. Guess what? The year after, when Chelsea were really bad, everyone wanted Conte sacked, Chelsea fans. Why? Because they don't feel that attachment to Conte, because he didn't build this from the scratch. Because guess what? All these players, like the Hazards and the blah, 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 were there already. You get what I'm saying? So
hence,
like
Arteta is better than Arne Slot.
That's a different debate, though. You're debating something that we're not debating here. You're speaking about something completely different. I'm speaking about, look, at the end of the day, the reason why there's a different attachment is because you built a club up from the beginning. You asked that question and I answered it. At the end of the day, if a manager comes in after Pep wins the league and wins City a league title, let's say Pep gets sacked tomorrow, okay? They hire Conte. Conte wins the league with City this season. City are 10th next year after 8 games. Do you think City fans will be Conte out? Yes, they will be.
Sacked.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
This next comment here says, I give Husam stick, but he never ducks. Big up from fan.
Yeah, never.
Never wanted Klopp out. Slot, though, a fraud. Hashtag Slot out is what's being said here. Interesting.
You know, the problem is, Terry, before you do the next one, there are certain part of Liverpool fan base that actually lost belief that he will fix it. Husam still thinking that he might fix it. There are people that say he's not going to fix it. We've seen enough.
Yeah, I hear that.
This is going to go even worse.
Ian here says, truth, Don CFC never shows up, but Don Husam does show up for the barbecue.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, look, the Football Terrace was... I've been part of the Football Terrace for almost like 4 years now, basically. I think it's going to be 4 years like in a month. And I've had the opportunity to cook all teams. I've had the opportunity to insult all teams, to laugh at all teams. And if I cook others, I have to be here to get cooked. It's just the reality of the situation. And look, Terry, people think like Terry doesn't run a thing where it's like, oh, only certain people are allowed. Bro, the link is sent out to all the fans. All you have to do is just click the link and you're on the match reaction. It's that simple to be honest.
It always makes me laugh when we laugh when we're talking certain subjects. And they're like, why are no fans from this club here? Like, bruv, there's like 8 of them in the group chat, 9 in that group chat, 10 in that group chat. If they don't decide to come on, you can't blame the Football Terrace. Blame your fans. Rhino Talks Money says, we will take Gabriel Magalhaes scoring and keeping clean sheets over Isak and Wirtz any day. Gabriel, 11 Premier Leagues, 2 goals. Isak, 6 no goals. Wirtz played 10 and has 0 goals.
By the way, it's not difficult right now because many players have more goals than Isak and Wirtz, so you're gonna go down a very difficult angle right here.
Big up to Husam and Mo, favorite show of the week. Hope you guys are good. Looking forward to the discussion. Fair play to you, Husam. Always admit you're not hiding. Big up to everyone.
Big up that team, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much for that indeed.
I love Patrick because he just comes up here everyone and just shows us love, man. I love you, Patrick, bro.
Thank you, Patrick.
For me, injuries do play a part in winning leagues, but not the top 4.
Yes, but here's the thing. I think the reason why people didn't give Arsenal that leeway last season is because, my brother, you didn't win even without the injuries. So, okay, so let's skip last season. The year before that, and this is something actually Mo always references, someone who is like way more pro-Arsenal than me, right? Bro, the year before that, Arsenal had no significant injuries, and City were the one with injuries. City had Haaland out for a little bit, KDB out for 4 months, blah, blah, blah. City still won the league. So, like, that's my thing. Like, I've got to be objective about this. I'm capable of giving you leeway if when you didn't have the injuries, you won it. But you didn't win it even without injuries. That's the issue here.
City won the league because the referees helped them.
Crispy here says, Arsenal forever, 2 FA Cups. What have they won? Slot walked into a self-driving Tesla with clear roads. Arteta walks into an R-Reg Fiat Punto driving in a Formula 1 race. That's the difference.
Fair enough.
I disagree with that.
Well, no, where I do agree with this to a large degree is this: if and there's all an if and if here. If Arteta wins the league this year, FA Cup, and the FA Cup, so 2 FA Cups in a league, next year retains the league title and wins the Champions League, even if Slot stays it that whole time and then wins the league himself, if you're comparing legacies, I would look at what each one inherited and what they had to build to get there. It is easy. Equally, if then Arteta leaves and leaves a title-winning, Champions League winning team and Diego Simeone comes in, this is where the Arsenal conversation is going to get really intriguing. Whether the Arteta-inners that have done the whole process thing, whether they try to, because I won't ever allow this to happen. Well, I'll allow people to say whatever they want within reason on my platform, but I won't ever let them say it without challenge. Anyone who thinks when Arteta leaves, they get to go, right, we're back to phase 1. No, you remain in phase 4 or phase 5 if you've won the trophies, like basing it on Arsenal's phases. You don't go back to, I had this row with Chelsea fans when Maresca came in. You don't just go back to phase 1 with a new manager every time. It's you still.
That's what Chelsea fans do. Chelsea fans do this.
And I don't
Chelsea
like
fans
it.
are doing this now, though.
Absolutely. They say
it's
it's
not
the
how
second
clubs
year in the
run.
project, bro. Second year in the project. When Caicedo had been here like 3 years now, and Enzo Fernandez have been 3.5 years. Bro, they say it's second year.
This project started once they realized that buying all the really expensive older players weren't working. They started that in like the January of their first year. They're about 3.5 to 4 years into their project. And same with Man United. Our project started when we decided to renew Ten Hag. It didn't start in the November when we brought in Amorim. If Amorim gets sacked next week and we bring in Glasner, we don't go back to day one of the new project. It's a continuation, and we've got.
That's why the toughest rebuild job, like in 2000 onward, from the year 2000 onward, because I wasn't around for the Man United Ferguson one, so I can't claim to have seen like fucking 1988 or whatever. Like I wasn't there, but the most difficult one was what Klopp did with Liverpool. Like genuinely, I'm not even. You guys know.
No, I think Man United 2007-8. After Invincible, Mourinho coming in, dictating what the league is about, bro, for 2 years.
I'm talking about no, stop. I'm talking about rebuilding.
Alex Ferguson, 3 years, completely rebuilt the whole team.
You're missing the point. I'm talking about like a club that hasn't won for a long time. You're missing.
The only thing I would say is this: is that build of yours started under Rodgers. And I think that had Klopp had come in, just a theory, if Klopp came in day one of FSG, I don't think he gets you in league title races and winning Champions Leagues as quickly as he did. I think that there was those stages, because you were still a club then where you were still at a point where when Torres is and when Suarez is and Sterling's, Alonso's, Gerrard nearly did it, but he stayed because of his loyalty. Got to a certain level, they were taken by the bigger clubs. What you've been able to do is you built from that point. So I get where you're coming from, but
I disagree with you, because the last year of Brendan Rodgers, like, listen, he came into a way more broken club than anyone in 2000 onwards, because he came in when Gerrard had just left, Sterling had just left, Suarez left the year before.
The biggest one is Luis Suarez, guys. You guys,
yeah,
like,
I understand.
Yeah,
that.
no one was there, bro. Like, he came into
I don't think Klopp came into a worse scenario than what Brendan Rodgers inherited, where you were only you were only a year or so out of Hicks and Gillette, where your club nearly went out of business, and Dalglish came in to settle things.
But Rodgers didn't build. That's my point.
No, your club built.
Yeah, yes, but he didn't build it. Like, that's my thing. The one that built it was Klopp. You have to be, in order for the build to be considered successful, you have to be a sustainable Champions League side at the minimum.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant coach, but Edwards was one of the key figures.
Oh, 100%.
Arsenal didn't lose the Premier League because of injuries. We lost because we couldn't handle the pressure and take advantage of our opportunities to catch Liverpool.
I love this super chat because this actually depicts the reality. Because if we're talking about injuries, I always mention this: West Ham came to the Emirates with even more injuries than Arsenal, and you couldn't beat them when we just drew to Aston Villa. So that's not on us.
This here says Rob didn't say the only factor. He said the biggest.
Once again, all three of us disagree with the fact it's the biggest. We all give credit to Slot and Liverpool. So now what?
Stop it, Mo. Ranieri has a better legacy than Arteta right now. He was consistent with Chelsea and got top four later. Won the Premier League with a relegation side. 2 to 3 title challenges doesn't make Arteta better currently.
Better legacy, we all agree, by the way.
And I never said legacy. See, you again, Zayn, you're hearing voices in your head. I never said legacy, right? Because at the current moment, Arteta might be a better coach, but Arne Slot's legacy is bigger because he won the Premier League. Just
don't talk crap. Every season is different.
Thank you.
There's a lot of truth in that. Timber and Partey injured all of the 22-23 season. Yeah, and you put on a much better title race that year. It was just a bad year overall for Arsenal last year. Big up Mo and Husam. Best panel on the show. Alvarez was amazing yesterday. Very impressed with him. I hope Berta can get him to Arsenal. He would be an amazing addition to improve the attack. I thought
the last piece of the puzzle.
He's ridiculously good. On Arsenal, gentlemen. On Arsenal.
Can I speak first because I have to go pray?
Yeah, this here says this super chat says Arsenal set piece coach has more goal contributions than Isak converts and Ekitike combined. Obviously, it's a bit of a joke, but the Arsenal set piece controversy has real sparked up in the last few days. ESPN doing articles, Carragher calling it out, Jamie O'Hara, Sky calling it out, Rivals, TalkSport, all of them going in saying horrible, it's killing the game, it's embarrassing. What do you guys make of the sort of poisonous, toxic reaction towards Arsenal set pieces?
Listen, I think some of it is justified because at the end of the day, Arsenal need to be able to break down teams and need to be able to score goals in open play because those are the sustainable ones. Look, at the end of the day, people listen. Let's not be robotic in our responses here and just say, "Oh my God, you have an agenda." Blah blah blah. You guys know I'm not doing agenda talk right now. I'm being serious. The reason why I do think that it's unsustainable is because this same exact conversation we were having at the start of last season, same exact one, when Terry was like, "Look, set pieces are a dangerous weapon that Arsenal can use." Yeah, but they couldn't use it till the end of the year, till the end of the season, because teams eventually figure it out. I'll give you an example. That first Gabriel goal, the first one, the 1-0. So not the second one, the first one. That is a new tactic. I haven't seen Arsenal score that type of set piece before because they beat the Atletico offside line and Gabriel made the deep run and Decaln Rice found him like literally on his head. So for me, that is a new tactic. Now, here's the thing. Arsenal now, for the next month or so, will keep implementing new stuff, new ideas, but every Premier League team now essentially has a set-piece coach. And all these guys' job, they're paid to watch 1,000 Arsenal set pieces and break down, okay, this is how we're going to stop this one. This is how we're going to stop that one. So when I say it's unsustainable, I'm not hating. I'm just going based off of the evidence. Because guess what? Last season, at the beginning of last season, I remember genuinely precisely Terry having the same exact conversation at the beginning of last year when we were speaking about Arsenal set pieces. Yes, Arsenal set pieces are a weapon. We all agree it's a weapon. We all agree that it's something that it's not like you discount the goal or something. Oh my God, set piece. No one's saying that. I'm simply saying, look, when I look at the word sustainable, when I look at like how can Arsenal beat teams, for me that second goal that Arsenal scored was fucking amazing. Miles Lewis-Skelly was marauding through the midfield, galloping through the Atletico team like Stevie G, and then plays the pass like Mesut Ozil at the end. And Martinelli's finish was unbelievable. In the clip where you saw me say like, oh, my eyes were bleeding watching Martinelli, I was actually calling out an Arsenal fan in the chat. He knows who he is. When he was like, oh my God, my eyes are bleeding watching Martinelli. Bro, Martinelli is a goal scorer. You're never going to watch Martinelli and think, oh my God, he's going to get past 7 people and put the top bins, because that's not who he is. He's a striker by nature. So when I look at Arsenal's second goal, I think Arsenal need to be able to create more chances like this. And to be fair, the more chances they create like this, the more likely they're going to win games of football. Because guess what? You're going to get teams that do figure out the way that you do set pieces. Prime example, Liverpool at Anfield. Now, we may discredit Arne Slot right now after the 4 games. Yes, having a bad time, blah, blah, blah. We all accept it. But at Anfield, I think Arsenal, correct me if I'm wrong, you can check the stats. I think Arsenal might have had like 6-7 corners. And I think they had like 3-4 set pieces. They had like 2-3 long throw-ins. But Liverpool figured out a style and a way to stop Arsenal's set pieces. Hence why, when I say unsustainable, I'm not hating on Arsenal. I'm simply saying, look, there is no team, I'm going to do the Terry Flewers here, there is no team in history of the Premier League that won the Premier League title with 67% of their goals being scored from set pieces. And that's the current stat. It's not us making up stuff. Currently, as things stand, 67% of Arsenal goals have come from set pieces. Now, can Arsenal from now until May, objectively speaking now, can they from now until May score 67% of the goals set pieces? No.
No, but the counter to that argument is that historically speaking, teams have, on average, scored 30% of their goals are from set pieces. But equally, the percentage of goals from open play from Arsenal is currently below the normal average. And in all likelihood, the open play goal levels are going to increase. The counter-attack goal levels are going to increase because they're slightly below average. And the set piece goals are going to decrease as a percentage. But what is sustainable is that over the past 4 seasons, Arsenal have been scoring more and more like this. And what is now in their favour, and they were moaning about it on Monday Night Football, but it's a great point because Gary O'Neill mentioned it. You can't foul people in the box anymore at corners. They're giving penalties for it. So Arsenal's players have got a free run on goal. Yes, they've got to try and score more goals from elsewhere. Granted. But they are going to score in all comps 20 plus goals every single season for the foreseeable from set pieces. It's a massive weapon. And the only criticism I've got is why can't more teams stop them? That's it.
Can I actually?
But the teams will stop them though. Let me just say this more because I'm gonna go.
I know, but I need to respond to one point. Yes, I want to respond to one point that you said before you go play. Actually, the Miles Lewis-Skelly goal is less sustainable than set pieces. You will not find a team that will be opened up with a player dribbling 3 players from his own half to the opposition's half more than actually a delivery from Decaln Rice or Saka that are brilliant. Absolutely. That is not going to happen for us. You might not see this goal again for Arsenal. The reason why, because teams sit on low blocks. Miles Lewis-Skelly dribbling 3-4 players, that might not happen again ever this season.
He did not. That's not true.
Habibi, he ran from his half all the way to
we saw Calafiori do this, by the way.
Habibi, that doesn't happen. People don't dribble from their own half, especially Arsenal and Liverpool. Why? Because teams are compact against them. What is more sustainable is What is more sustainable is a delivery from Decaln Rice. The reason why about this is that Decaln Rice currently is one of the best set piece delivery in the world. And he changed it. Near post, in the middle of the goal, far post. And by the way, you can study Arsenal set pieces as much as you can, right? But you don't know which one are you going to do. You could have studied Messi or Luis Suarez or Fernando Torres, right? Or Cristiano Ronaldo, like as much as you want. You might not be able to stop it. Arsenal, will continue score set pieces like this as long as Decaln Rice and Saka deliver like this. Because if it's that easy, right, everyone would have done it. I'm going to say this. If it's that easy to deliver corners
Why
on
didn't they
the
do
money,
it at Anfield? Answer the question. Genuinely. Tell me honestly. Why?
Because they can't do it in every
Since
game.
because it's not going to happen every single
game.
game. Yeah, Habibi, because it's not going to happen every single game. By the way, if Arsenal score a set piece every single game, they're going to score 50 goals.
Yeah, Habibi, you're missing the point. Arsenal at Anfield had 7 fouls. I'm looking at the stats. 7 fouls and 8 corners. 15 attempts to score a set piece. Why didn't they do it? Tell me, or give me an honest football breakdown.
Why they didn't against Atletico Madrid twice?
Yeah, Habibi, that's not the question.
But I can ask you the question the same.
No, but I've already said it. You're missing my point.
It wasn't sustainable.
Okay, why didn't they do it against City?
Because City parked the bus and maybe they work at that time. But it might not work. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. No one is saying that Arsenal.
You're claiming it's sustainable, right?
Yes.
Your claim about set pieces is that they are sustainable.
Define sustainable then. Yes.
Okay, great. So your claim is that they're sustainable. Arsenal against Manchester City had 11 corners. Has nothing to do with low block or not low block. Why didn't they score any of them? Tell me. Give me a football reason.
I can go about other teams as well. They scored against Atletico Madrid. I don't understand this. The word sustainable for you, Husam, is that they need to score it every game. That is
Habibi,
so...
Saka came out
that is so idiotic.
Decaln Rice was on the
every game is ridiculous.
See what you're doing. Sam, you're taking the word sustainable and you're taking it to the absolute nth degree because nobody is claiming they are going to score 38 set piece goals in a season. No one is claiming that. What we are stating is that it's very likely that Arsenal, because they did for the last 3 seasons, they've scored a very high amount of set piece goals. By the way, in the Premier League, actually, they've been below the average the last 2 years. They've only averaged around 21% of their goals from set pieces, and they were being criticized for it then. So they're well above the average at the minute, but it will work itself out. No one, are we really saying the only thing that's sustainable is if you do it 38 times on the bounce? Because based on that, look, we often talk about style of play, and we say, we go back to the famous time when this word was first used, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Is it sustainable the way Ole's playing? Or what do you mean? Is it? Nobody said the definition of stability under that style was winning 38 games. So why should scoring from set pieces be defined as sustainable only if you can do it in every game? I don't understand why.
It's Fergie time sustainable, Husam.
I'll tell you why.
Was Fergie time sustainable? Was Fergie scoring in every... Fergie teams didn't do it in every single game. But it was sustainable that Fergie teams fight until the last minute. They won some games. They didn't score in some games. But over the years, Fergie teams were sustainable in fighting injury times.
That's mentality. Anyway, once again, I'm going to do the Terry here. The definition of the word sustainable is able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. Okay? So that's the definition of the word. Now, I'm not asking for Arsenal to do it in every single game. You guys are missing what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, so I claim Arsenal corners, Arsenal set pieces are something sustainable. Okay, great. So at Anfield, when you needed the set piece goal, you had 8 corners. You had throw-ins, you had set pieces. You did not score any of them. At Manchester City, you had 11 corners against Manchester City. You didn't score any of them. So when I'm saying, okay, guys, the reason why I think it's not sustainable is because teams a month from now, a month and a half from now, will figure out ways to stop Arsenal's set pieces. That does not mean that they will stop scoring set pieces, because guess what? Maybe in the month of December, in 10 games, they score 3 set pieces in the 10 games. Great. It's a weapon to use. I accept that. But I'm saying in order to win those 10 games, what makes you sustainable at winning is the fact that you can score goals in open play, is your creativity, is the chance that Lewis Kelly created for Martinelli as an example, is the chance that Joker has created for himself against Leeds. It's the chances that a Saka creates or a Madueke creates. Those are the things that make you win games of football. And that's
okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you read out this definition of sustainable again, please?
Able to be maintained at a certain rate or level, and the other definition is able to be upheld or defended. So same thing.
Okay. So when it's a certain rate, what is the rate? How many set piece goals per game do they have to score for you to consider it sustainable?
How many per game?
So yeah, one per game, 0.5 per game. How many set piece goals per game for you is your definition of sustainable?
Well, sustainability for me is at least something that you can do close to at least once a game. Close, not necessarily every single game, but close to it.
Okay. So almost. So back to our original point. You think sustainable? I'm not even going to challenge you on this. I just want to make sure we're clear on this point. Your view of sustainability in football is something that you can do in almost every single game.
Yes. Sustainability for me is something that I can do repetitively almost in every game. So not every game, but almost every game.
Okay.
Like out of 38 games, you score in 32, 33 of them from set pieces. That's what I consider sustainable. Like Salah getting GA is unsustainable last year. Guess what? It was sustainable because he got 47 GA in 38 games. Haaland scoring goals is unsustainable. Okay, he has more goals than games. So it is sustainable.
So let me ask you something.
him
If a striker, I know you have to go to pray. Just last question on this. If a striker scored 25 goals a season in 38 games, can people say that striker is a reliable striker and relying on that striker is sustainable?
Yes, he's sustainable. He's reliable, but he's one player though.
But that means that striker isn't scoring every game.
Then
It's not
also
once
have to
again.
look at the A. How many assists did he get?
So well, interesting. So again, so you're the only sustainable players are players that are scoring, attacking players are the only players that are scoring and assisting in 90+% of their games, would you say?
Like, basically what I'm saying is like someone who gets 0.7 GA per game or something like this, you know, like guys, you get my point. Let's not do like this whole numerical thing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying, look, there are games where they needed it, where it couldn't work out for them. It happens.
This is the thing, though. I think what you're doing is there are.
Okay, you said no. Let me use a fresh example. Fulham game. All three of us agreed that the reason why that game was dead is Fulham's defensive. Do we agree? The reason that Fulham set up. Fulham, Terry did the boxing analogy, which I agree with. Fulham basically refused to attack Arsenal. Fulham were that much cowards that even when they got to the final third, they were refused to overlap, blah, blah, blah. Great. So now, as Arsenal Football Club, if I want to build a sustainable system where I can win 38 games of football, my winning goal cannot be a Trossard header from a corner because there are other teams in the league that can stop that. My sustainable chances are the chance that they created for Gyökeres as an example. I consider that sustainable because Gyökeres is going to be their striker from now until May. He's going to get into those positions. So it's sustainable opportunity for him to score in that game. That's all I'm saying.
So look, what I will say to you is this, right? Is I get where you're coming from, but you're doing their open play goals over the last 3 seasons. There are more than 38 goals scored from open play and counters in each of the last 3 seasons. So based on your own logic, Arsenal score enough from open play to do it in every single game, which means open play goals and counter attack goals become sustainable. The issue that you have is you're taking something which is a special weapon and you're applying logic to things that you need in every single game. So for instance, you need a goalkeeper that can sustainably catch the ball from crosses every game, otherwise you're fucked. What you don't necessarily need is a goalie that can pull off wonder saves 2 or 3 times in a football match. Asking for someone, when De Gea used to pull off some of those saves where you think it's a goal and he pulls it out, it's ridiculous in my opinion to go, unless you have a goalie that can sustain that every game, they're not good enough, or it shouldn't be praised, or it's a problem is crazy, because there are certain elements of the game that are anomalies, or they're outliers, or they're a special weapon, and that is what Arsenal's set piece goals are. They're a special weapon. No one is claiming when their fans are celebrating, they're only kind of doing that because they're mocking it back. Why I get frustrated is that people are angry that they're scoring from set pieces because they're seeing, by and large, because Arsenal are doing well. Yes, the percentage of their goals being scored via set pieces will diminish over the course of the season. Maybe not the amount of set piece goals they actually score, but they'll just start scoring more from open play. That's what's more likely, so the percentage is going to drop. Like in the Champions League, they've actually scored 5 from open play, which is the same as in the Premier League, 1 from counters and 2 from set pieces. But that's because in the Champions League, teams have attacked them a little bit more. So I just look at it and go, I understand what you mean by sustainability, but we can't apply the same standards to every facet of football, because some things happen more frequently than others in general. For instance, teams have more shots per game then they get corners and attacking free kicks. Therefore, there's more chance of scoring from open play, and it will level itself out. I just feel that what people are really trying to do to Arsenal is they're trying to diminish their set piece goals so they can start planting seeds. But if they do win the league, how they can diminish it, how they can play it down, how they can take it away from them. That is what the biggest...
Can I tell you what else they're doing, Terry? To be honest with you, it's not only Husam, it's not only content creators, it's the main medium. I actually think the media is doing this to not admit that Arteta is actually creating a very controlled system in football. Boring. Even some Arsenal fans would say boring. Like yesterday, my guy, Arsenal fan, said, I love it. It's boring, but we're so in control that I'm sitting in games knowing that my team will have possession, will actually be in control, we're not conceding shots on target. I think it's a coping mechanism by rivals and pundits and people in mainstream media that they don't want to admit that Arteta's a good coach and he's actually the team is improving, right? Genuinely, I believe that, Terry, that they choose to actually highlight the set pieces. A lot of people spoke about the set pieces yesterday and didn't speak about how Arsenal demolished a team like Atletico Madrid. And Mikel Arteta, who was all the time was being asked to be replaced by Diego Simeone, destroyed Diego Simeone, completely annihilated him in a football match 4-0, but no one wants to talk about that. They want to talk about how Arsenal only score from set pieces. I genuinely believe it's not only about the set pieces, Terry. I believe it's about Mikel Arteta and the control and how he played football.
It's playing it down. And look, someone here, Ash, says to me, sustainable is to maintain a certain rate or level. Agreed. Says, if Arsenal scored from a set piece once every 2 games, is that sustainable? Well, what we have to first agree on is what is the standard. Because not every facet, not every statistic in football is comparable to another. How many shots you have per game can't be compared to how many passes you expect your team to have. We'd all agree you should have far more passes than shots. So we can't just apply a very banal, very basic, very arbitrary sort of number and go, you got to do it once a game. Got to do what once a game? Each sort of attribute, each statistic, each element of the game has to have its own standard. And that's what we're also doing here. And I always go back to this famous example when Sky Sports put out that Pogba walks around the pitch for 25 minutes a game. People were outraged by it. But all I was asking at the time, and we've never once seen those statistics since, is, well, what's the fucking average? What are most central midfielders in the Prem doing? Because if they're all walking for only 10 minutes, we've got a problem. But if they're averaging 30 minutes of walking, well, Pogba works harder then. But for some reason, Sky didn't want to give us that information. Because my theory is that Pogba was walking around no more or less than anybody else in the Premier League. And this is the issue. It's not sustainable what Arsenal are doing. Well, if you're making that claim, you've got to define what the standard is. Husam's put his standard out, that the only way you can call scoring from set pieces sustainable is to do it in almost 38 games of a season. And I don't know what the highest amount of set piece goals ever scored in a league is. I think the highest is about 20. So if are we then saying that no one ever scoring from set pieces, no team that's ever been good at set pieces can be called sustainable because they haven't done it 35, 36, 37, 38 times? I think that's too much. I think that's too far-fetched, personally. I think if a team could score 20 league goals in a Premier League campaign from set pieces, I would say that's more than sustainable, a more than sustainable source of goals. A more than sustainable source 100%. Of goals.
If it gives you 12 points a season, that is very good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Actually, just 12 points. I'm just saying.
I'm going to leave you talking 1 sec.
Now, to be honest with you guys, if Arsenal get 12 points only from set pieces, that is the definition of sustainable. It's the same as if a player is clutch in dying moments of the game and he gets you 9, 15 points a game, that is sustainable because these are the 9, 12 points that you need to win the league. Arsenal set pieces, by the way, I'm going to say Inter as well, were magnificent in set pieces as well. Like, we have been absolutely spot on in set pieces. And I love it because it bails us out in some games. It bails us out when it's 0-0. It bails us out when it's 1-1. And if Arsenal can do this, like throughout games, and probably if they do only in 10 games this season, that is good enough. Only 10 games if the winning goal by set piece or the open defenses by set piece is absolutely fantastic. Inter do it, Arsenal do it, and people can't take it. I know that people say if Arsenal go to the San Siro and score set piece, you will cry. No, I will cry because my team lost. I won't cry because Arsenal scored from a set piece, right? I won't cry because of that. That's what people don't understand. That set pieces thing is something that Arsenal implementing. I'm just going to say, Declan Rice currently in world football, I'm just going to tell you this. People that actually don't like Declan Rice as well are actually trying to play down set pieces because of how brilliant he is in deliveries. You see it, bro. And people were talking about set pieces. I'm like, if your player can do it, you'd be absolutely tweeting every day about his delivery. But because it's Declan Rice and because you don't like Declan Rice, right? And because he's aesthetically not pleasing to you, you're saying, oh, set pieces are not good. Why don't your player deliver like Declan Rice? Why don't your player cross like David Beckham, for example?
So they did the same thing. And this is why, City fans will be going, oh, you're defending Arsenal. Well, I did exactly the same thing with Erling Haaland. Tap in, tap in, tap in, tap in. Well, if tap ins are so easy and so sustainable because they're so easy, then why are not all the other strikers tapping in at that rate? Well, because Erling Haaland's ability to read the game, his balance, his movement, his spatial awareness, and his finishing ability make him so much better at those tap-ins than nearly every other striker that's ever played football before in the history of the game. And it's a skill. It may not be a skill that everybody gets off their seat for in terms of, oh my God, he dribbled past 4 or 5 players. It might not be an amazing touch that makes everybody stunned, but it's still a very important component of football.
I swear to God, set piece talk, bro. I'm going to tell you the truth. I swear to God, there is more to Arsenal than fucking set pieces. Not conceding a shot on target for games is a talking point. Zubamendi dictating the game and being better than Thomas Partey is a talking point. Ukraine scoring 2 goals yesterday is a talking point.
Bro.
Saka being good. That is my problem.
His name's not Gyökeres anymore. His name is Coquerez. It's got to be.
My problem about this, listen, I'm not saying that Gyökeres is back. He scored like goals yesterday, but I'm not saying that. But the problem is, the media yesterday, why the fuck are we not talking about Zubamendi being good yesterday? Why are we not talking about have 2 fullbacks in Calafiori, which is, Husam agrees with me, has been arguably the best left back in the league this season, and having Myles Kelly come in and play a good role against a tough opposition like Atletico Madrid, who Liverpool, yes, won 3-2, but actually Arsenal looked more in control than Liverpool in the game. Liverpool looked good against Atletico Madrid. Arsenal looked in control. I'm not saying about excitement, but no. Well, let's just talk about Arsenal, about set pieces, even though they won 4-0 against Atletico Madrid. A team that people find it hard actually to win against. Yeah, but let's actually, in Sky, which is what I don't like, right? Husam yesterday on his match action, which is, I actually like Husam for this. He didn't only analyze the set pieces. He spoke about Arsenal, Lewis Kelly. He spoke about the defense. He spoke about other aspects. But the mainstream media, especially the rivals, all they want to talk about is the set piece goals from yesterday. What about the other aspects of the game? What about Zubamendi? Why is Zubamendi being talked about?
It's all the media that don't like Arsenal, and it's all the Arteta outers have got left. It's all they have left now is to put. And I'm telling you now,
what happened to Liverpool last season with Salah. Happened with Liverpool last season. Yeah, everyone forgot that Gravenberch looked magnificent the first half of the season. Everyone forgot that Konate looked good last season. Everyone forgot that. Yeah, they wanted to talk about people just do that to diminish teams, bro.
I hate it all. I hate all the carry job talk, the team sports, being players carrying teams. Yes, there's stars. Like Haaland gets a lot at the moment. If they lose Haaland, they're in trouble. Yeah, and if I take 2 or 3 stars out of other teams, listen, Donnarumma is every bit as important for Haaland, for City at the moment, but doesn't seem to get the plaudits. Let's jump to these super chats. We've got quite a lot there while we were talking, guys, and I don't want to miss any of these. Love the channel. I hope you guys are good. Mr. Don, you keep laughing at set pieces. FC, tell the teams to don't fail us or to give us corners. Yeah, the team should just let them shoot on goal and score, and then it solve all these problems, then, wouldn't it? That's what they should do. Let Arsenal score from open play instead of putting 11 men behind the ball, and this whole conversation would dissipate. Popeye here says, can't judge slot yet. Last year's Liverpool has the same squad when Klopp managed, but there are some changes this year. Check out Salah's interview. He believes Arsenal will win because Arsenal didn't sell anybody. That's fair. Maybe set pieces dried up because Gabriel got injured.
For the last 3 games, not January till May.
Saka injured too. 2 biggest set piece weapons.
But the biggest weapon is Rice.
We've been doing it for 2 seasons. Still, no one has even come close to doing it at that level. In fairness, Chelsea have got the same amount of set piece goals this season as Arsenal. So I tell you what, I'd be more concerned about is not slagging off a team that's found another way of scoring goals. I'd be looking more, for instance, if I was a Liverpool fan, like I said, I'd be more worried about my team conceding so many from set pieces than team scoring from them. That's a much bigger issue.
Husam actually literally said, stop talking about scoring set pieces. Fucking defensive pieces, you fraud.
Good morning, gents. Great content as always. Big up, Michael. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that a lot. Stats can be broken, Husam.
Okay, but that doesn't mean, once again, factually, no one in history won the league.
But AMT, I'm going to respond to you about this. We cannot build arguments and future conclusions based on stats can be broken. We need to analyze history. So that's something for people to know.
Fair to say, City depending on Haaland is unsustainable, I think is what you mean.
Actually, in the triple season as well, Haaland scored 50 goals and he stayed fit and he missed only like 6 games and they were great. So if Haaland stays fit, it will be sustainable.
This is just why didn't Liverpool win versus Palace? Because Palace were better.
Good attack.
At Anfield, we didn't have any blockers, Saliba and Saka. But you didn't. But Liverpool defended well that day. Like, I'll tell you why Arsenal didn't score from set pieces. Liverpool defended them really well that day. That's also, that happens. Do you know what I mean?
And Gabriel was on the pitch and Rice. What the hell, bro?
Callie here says, you know what is sustainable, Husam? Only conceding 3 goals in 12 games in all comps.
Yeah, I agree. That's very sustainable, having a solid defense. Never denied that.
Tevin here, big up, bro, says that it's sustainable because the amount of opportunities from set pieces, it's creating big chances. Now, always going to score big chances, but you create the consistency, you are more likely to score. This is a great point. What I will say is what Gary O'Neill said though on Monday Night Football so key. Now they're punishing more and more fouls against the attackers in the boxes. That's going to help everyone score from set pieces. That being said, if the PGMOL changes the rules, which is partly what I think Carragher was doing to kind of push that message out there, if they suddenly bring it back where you can rip people's shirts off again, everyone is going to score less goals from set pieces. So that may be something that the PGMOL.
Head out now, you guys. Big up.
All right, bro. Cheers, mate. Cry more. Sorry, Simbit. By the way, very quickly, who was it out of you two that said Didier Drogba's not in the top 20 strikers of all time in the Premier League?
Both of us. All the panel on our channel. How do you know this?
Because people tell me things.
Okay.
I didn't watch that, but I also watched quite a lot of your content, but I didn't watch that one. This is so because it doesn't happen every game, it's not sustainable. How is that logical? Wayne,
we debunk that, Wayne. We debunk that completely, Wayne. We debunk that. I said it. 12 to 15 points is very sustainable, actually. If you win 12, 15 points in set pieces, that is very good.
He did super chat that in like 15 minutes ago, to be fair, like a lot of these. But yeah, no, I agree. It's unsustainable to have 30% shooting accuracy. Why? Well, because you need a 90% passing accuracy. These things, people are correlating a lot of crazy stuff here. Husam, I've got to be objective about this. Proceeds to say something subjective.
That's nice.
10% is good enough if the other teams can't score a goal. Winning is winning. Arteta don't want to play the way you want him to play, Husam. Listen, the only reason the Arsenal games are quote unquote boring for people is because the teams don't want to attack Arsenal because they're that good. And for me, I don't really understand. You know, when I was younger, a bit more naive, I used to think that Floyd Mayweather's fights were boring because Floyd Mayweather was too defensive. And then the older you get, the more accustomed to watching boxing you get, because I didn't train as a boxer. I did sort of karate and kickboxing. Is that the reason why Mayweather looked defensive is because he was an amazing counterpuncher and people didn't want to open up against him because they knew he'd spark them out. So they spent a lot of the fight hoping that he made one mistake so they could throw a haymaker. So it wasn't him that made it boring. It was the opponents not wanting to attack. Husam needs to email all clubs to open up and stop putting 10 men behind the ball so we can score more open play goals. Mo is schooling Husam.
Arne Slot wants that as well. He's going to send a letter to the actual Premier League to say that we can't play against low blocks. Can you guys open up against us as well?
Yeah. He's also pushing for Man United to announce their starting lineup 3 or 4 days early.
Yes.
So he knows what
and not change it.
So,
you're not allowed to change it.
Liverpool won only by a world-class free kick, not in open play. Why didn't Liverpool score an open play goal in our game? Fair point.
Fair point.
No, you know what? Like, do you know? I didn't realize this, that, on average, I think the average for direct free kicks scored in the Premier League is something like 4. I think maybe one player once scored 5 in a season. So this is another point around sustainability. If you have a free kick taker that scores 3 direct free kicks from the edge of the box, now maybe the average is 5 and the highest is 6, but it's a very low number. I always thought, for whatever reason, as a kid, I always thought Beckham was scoring like 10 a year. He wasn't. It's just your brain makes you think that. Maybe it was 6 or 7 with England and with Champions League and FA Cup and stuff. But in the Premier League, if you've got a player who's scoring 4 direct free kicks a year, that's beyond sustainable. But the way we're talking about scoring from set pieces, if you win, imagine if you won your first 2 games with a David Beckham-esque free kick, that ain't sustainable. Well, we know, not every game it isn't, because no one's ever done that. But if you have a player that could score 4 or 5 or 6 direct free kicks a season, it's a weapon that no one else has got. It's why Beckham was a weapon that no one else had. Because at the time, Jorginho was here for a bit. No one else would score with the consistency and frequency of him from free kicks. So what Beckham did for us 3 or 4 times a season, more than any other team, was equalize or get a winner or get the opening goal because of his consistency. And that is all set pieces are to Arsenal. They just know that in 5-10 games a season, they've got something nobody else has got. That being twisted into a negative for me, I find it, again, it's killing the game. It's a repulsive opinion. A question to Husam: how many teams have played low blocks since Arsenal started using set pieces to win games?
Every game.
Every game.
Apart from the Man United after Arsenal went 1-0, I can tell you exactly. And Liverpool in the second half. Because in the first half, Arsenal were on top of Liverpool in the first half at Anfield. Stats show that. Eye tests show this. So nobody opens up against Arsenal. No one. It's only Man United that had the ball against them, to be honest with you. Maybe by design.
This here says, Husam is an idiot. Good striker is 20 goals. I wouldn't call him an idiot. I just think he's wrong on this. It's because 20 goals a season is the bench. This is also the point. 20 goals a season was always said as the benchmark. If you're getting 20 goals a season, you're a good striker. But what
you're a sustainable striker, Harry Kane. You're a sustainable striker. 19 goals, 20 goals, 21 goals. That's one of the best strikers in the history of the Prem. Yeah. Or you need to score 38 goals. Anybody that scores less than 38 goals now is a not sustainable striker. By the way. We just need to establish that. But anyway, Husam's not an idiot. Bermuda Gona, you didn't need to do that. There's no reason for disrespect, guys. Just come on.
For me, it's only be sustainable when Arsenal can rely on set pieces to win games.
But they do. 3 points against Fulham. They opened up the scoring from a set piece yesterday. They do that. They do this. Okay, they do this.
Yeah. It's... Again,
don't change the narrative to make your point right. Don't change the narrative to make your point right. Don't change facts. They really did. They really did.
I look at it this way as well. We're using the word sustainable. And I think how you would apply it to say your main number 9, like Haaland, you're a City fan. We can't use that logic and apply it to every facet of football. So if you've got a goalkeeper who's very good, 90% ball collection, really high percentage of saves, but then has this extra special weapon where he's just so... You get some goalies. Alisson's a great example at Liverpool. The amount of one-on-ones he saves when an attacker comes through is above and beyond most other goalkeepers. Now, just again, to your logic, imagine he doesn't do that in a cup final when he gets chipped. That doesn't mean it isn't a general sustainable weapon, because we can't expect goalkeepers to only be considered sustainable if they make that particular save in a really big and important game, even though they've done it 20 other times this season. I think what we're doing is we're going to the nth degree, and we're talking, this is why I call this stuff killing the game. No one's ever thought about football in that way. A team that's averaging 20 set-piece goals a season, it's always been considered a sustainable way of scoring goals. No one has said they have to... The conversation is that what isn't sustainable is not scoring enough from open play. They've got to do more of that. But what they're doing in set pieces is fine. The conversation is in the wrong area for me personally. It's not easy to create open play chances and goals against low block teams. We need to depend on set pieces. What's wrong with that? sustainable or not?
Yeah. Just guys, Newcastle 3 points, Fulham 3 points. Now they opened up against Atletico Madrid from set pieces. I think that is good enough.
This here is from Elisa. Thank you so much for the super chat. It says, please understand.
W's guys in the chat for Elisa for the big donation.
Amazing donation. Says, please understand that Arsenal's superpower is the ability to stop transitions. Teams do not want to overload against them because they will get hurt. Set pieces drilled well give added edge to break the deadlock. Yeah, and I sort of look at it and think to myself that with Arsenal as well, the way everyone's making a big deal out of set pieces, you make it more likely they're going to score because you create a nervousness as well. So, yeah, you've got to do a great job. Alisa, thank you so much for that donation. It means a great deal to me and all of our super chatters. You're so generous and amazing to this platform and this community. You're out of this world. Set pieces need practice and precision. Liverpool still rely on last-minute desperate shots, hoping to stick. Now that's unsustainable.
Spot on.
Long-range efforts, I think on average only 8% go in, which means don't celebrate a long-range effort because 92% of the time you miss. Again, this is what I'm saying. We've got to be very careful with the logic we want to push because you can start making direct free kicks sound bad, long-range efforts sound bad, super goals bad. You mentioned that what Miles Lewis-Skelly did. Rarely do teams score goals like that against other top opponents. Should you not celebrate it because it isn't sustainable? I don't like where we're going with this kind of punditry around the game. When you are good at something, it means that you have practiced it for a long time. How many seasons have we been talking about it? When Beckham is super good at free kicks, similar thing. By the way, someone just sent me the stats through. Across 17 top flight seasons in the Premier League, the average given as the average score per season across all clubs in all games is only 27 direct free kicks a season on average scored in the Premier League, according to a stat someone just sent through to me. The lowest ever was in the 23-24 season where only 11 direct free kicks were scored. So the point is, if you have someone who's scoring one team 7, that's an anomaly. Sustainability of direct free kicks isn't 1 per game when the whole league on average only manages 27. We need to be very careful to the precedents we're setting so we can damage football discourse. Husam spitting facts, but he doesn't understand the word sustainable. Arsenal set pieces are sustainable for Arsenal. Yes, we talk about them for 2 years. Are they enough to win the league? No, that we agree with. And that isn't, and that's the thing. You've got to frame these debates right. Do they need to score more from open play in the Premier League? Yes. Do they have to find a way in open play of breaking down some more of these low blocks? Yes. I don't think anybody disagrees. But slagging off the set pieces, for me, comes across as bitterness because that's a legit way of scoring goals. Spot on. Mr. Flewers, you are looking younger and hotter today. Oh, thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. And Mr. Flewers, you didn't invite me on the show again because you're always outside in my bins. Of course, teams are depending on players and tactics. What shocking news. Yeah, it's again, when you extrapolate it and you apply it across the game, imagine relying on your footballers to deliver. Great comment. Arsenal are developing set pieces as their main weapon. First basic thing for headers is height. If you think about it, set pieces is the easiest way to guess where opponent players are. Good point. Sustainable is the new buzzword, like standards, excuses, and so on. Yeah, and then nobody actually wants to talk about what they mean. And when you get into the conversation, this is why I think this show is important. Is because I didn't even know what I thought on this subject. And then you start thinking about it more logically. Have you got to do it every game? What about direct free kicks? How can you compare passing accuracy against shooting accuracy? How many wonder saves are meant to happen per game? Not everything. You can't measure everything with the same yardstick. I think we need to be very mindful of that as football fans. The Sam is a bitter crybaby. Set pieces are there to break the ice, not just scoring every goal in a game with set pieces. Use logic, Sam. Spot on. That's already been done. What's your definition of a reliable keeper at penalties? It's a great, again, never.
I was gonna say this
point, because what you'd have to work out first of all is you'd have to work out the highest amount ever saved in a season, the average or the medium amount ever saved, and the lowest set percentages. Because until you know those facts, you can't really have an opinion. You know, We were saying the other day about Liverpool and their chance creation. Their fans going, we're not creating chances. They're almost doubling at the minute their big chance creation per game compared to the highest average ever, which was set by them last year. So the idea they're not creating chances, I think, is a little far-fetched. What they're not doing is scoring them. And sometimes when you're a football fan, when you don't score the chances and you don't win, your brain don't always operate in the right way. You miss things. You don't see things in the same way as you normally would. Sustainability is a must, like a surgeon's job. But even then, they have a percentage of failure they're allowed. Do you know what I mean? It's they don't all get done for like malpractice when something goes wrong. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's really bad, but sometimes it's just the nature of their job. Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into this show. Amazing conversations and debate as always. I want to thank the super chatters. I know that some of you do little and often. Some of you do a big one every now and then. Some of you, it's just consistently great. I know not everybody can afford it, by the way. And I just want to say thank you to you all because you help keep the terrace going. You help keep us growing. Our members, everyone who likes the shows, which is obviously free for everyone to do. Thank you. This is going to redirect you to Husam's channel. So go and cook him over there, please, people. I'm back later tonight after Liverpool and Chelsea and Spurs play in the Champions League. So very much looking forward to seeing you all again. I've got to go because my dog has been looking for a walk for about 3 hours and I can hear him scratching at my office door because he wants to go for a walk. He can see it getting darker, so he wants to get out. He likes the dark, but he knows if we go out in the dark, I don't throw the tennis balls. So he wants to go now because he wants to play with his balls. They're his tennis balls. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we're going to see you all again very, very soon.